This meeting is called to order. Nellie, if you would read the call, please.
Yes, sir. Notice of public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene an executive session workshop and a regular meeting on Tuesday, February 1st, 2005, at 5:25, 5:45, and 6 p.m. in the Commission chambers. The first item is executive session. Discussion pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code regarding pending litigation styled cost number 2003-06-3199-E, Zimmerman Construction Company versus City of Brownsville,
Mayor,
Texas.
so moved to go into executive session.
So a motion and a second to executive session. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. We'll be in recess. All right, moving to the workshop item, discussion and presentation regarding the readoption of 2005 Heritage Plan. Mr. Medina?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Commission. I'm filling in tonight for Mr. Peter Goodman and Joe Gavito. They're before, right now, the School District Board asking for this tax exemption, historic tax exemption for a heritage plan. To summarize the information that you have in your packet, basically, this is the 18th year that we come before the Commission and the other taxing entities in the adoption of the Heritage Survey and Heritage Plan. This plan will be introduced to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a recommendation on Thursday, and then on February 15th, it'll come before you as an action item. In this public workshop, basically, there's been amendments to the plan. And the first amendment was they added the Bullock Building located down the street here at 1223 East Elizabeth. And they have made, the owner has substantially invested in his building. So the Heritage Review Council has unblocked, or it has awarded them or recommended a historic tax exemption for 100%. For a period of 5 years. They also have added the Camdula Sam's on North Hatchery Road for only the buildings that are older than 50 years, not including the land, for 50%. And they have removed from the plan, which will go back from 100% only to 50%, the old city jail, or the old county jail, excuse me, 1136 East Madison Street. That's right across the old county courthouse. So those are the three amendments to the Heritage Plan. There's other items that were considered, but those were the amendments. And as I mentioned, they removed from the plan the old county jail.
You said they removed it?
They removed it from the 100%. It's now at 50% tax exemption, on historic tax exemption. If the city approves this plan with these exemptions on a total of 12 units or 12 structures, the city would forego a total of $22,973 of taxes that they would otherwise have generated.
What was that amount again?
$22,973. They would forego that this coming year. All the other taxing entities last year approved it with the exception of the BISD. And tonight, Mr. Gavito and Mr. Goodman are there before them, asking for them to reconsider again the plan this year, and hopefully it will be awarded. But basically, that's the bottom line number. All of these owners have invested in this buildings. The Bullock, if you drive by on Elizabeth Street, you can see the appearance where they added windows, bringing them back to that area, custom-made windows that match exactly what was there when the building was first built. So again, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
Any questions?
I just have a concern as far as the specifics with a lot more of these coming in, I'm scared that this will become a trend, and that we're gonna start getting a lot more of these coming in.
Well, Commissioner, basically, the Heritage Review Committee will take each case on an individual basis. The building has to have significance, historical significance. The owner has to make a substantial investment on his building, bringing it up to, not only up to code, but up to the way it was first constructed. So I don't foresee a lot of these businesses or a lot of these buildings coming. Basically, they have been identified through a heritage study of the community. All those have already been identified. It's just a matter of how much investment the individual owner wants to put into his building that would allow him either a 50% or a 100% tax exemption.
Thank you, Ben.
One comment I would add, Ben, is that while it's some loss of revenue for us, actually, the more homes that we can get with this distinction makes it an added attraction, tourist attraction for a lot of people who do come
And
to
that's
Brownsville.
correct.
And when we talk about historic downtown, we really, really mean it. So hopefully we can get more people involved. So.
Yes, and I think the economic impact of preserving these structures for our children and their children to come and see and enjoy outweighs any tax benefit that we may be foregoing.
We also need to make people aware of what we do have already. Okay. If you all would please join me in welcoming Mr. Matthew Cohen, a third grader from Palm Grove Elementary and a Cub Scout. He's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and then the State Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas one and indivisible.
Thank you, Matthew. That was wonderful. If we could have the Reverend Jesse Granados lead us in the invocation, please.
Thank you for the privilege. Let's pray. Our Father, we're so grateful today to be able to call upon your name on behalf of this meeting. We ask that your blessing be upon it. We ask that your wisdom would permeate this atmosphere in a cordial, friendly, and common goal setting. We pray for the city to which you have called us to lead, and this day we ask you, Lord, to receive our thanksgiving for the authority that you have bestowed upon these people to lead this great city. Thank you again for this opportunity to represent you and ask you that your name be glorified. Let righteousness and justice prevail today in the name of the Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Our first item, presentation for Employee of the Month, February 2005. Mr. Cavler.
Mayor, members of the commission, please welcome our Employee of the Month, Wilma Rosales. She just got in.
Perfect
Wilma
timing.
works for the fire department. As you can see, she's got a cheerful attitude and always provides outstanding customer service to the people of Brownsville. She has implemented new and innovative procedures within the fire marshal's office, which are of great help to the citizens who do business with her office. She gladly offers help to fellow employees as well as clients and is more than willing to share her expertise in computer science with her coworkers. She has an excellent attendance record and always maintains a professional attitude, particularly when confronted with obstacles that need solving. She is inspiring. She is an inspiration to her coworkers and is a definite asset to the fire department. She would be a welcome addition to any of our offices within the city. For making the Employee of the Month, Wilma gets a day off of her choice with pay and becomes eligible for selection as Employee of the Year at the annual Employee Awards Banquet in December. Congratulations, Wilma Rosales.
Congratulations.
Here's your plaque, Wilma, and hat. You're an employee. And the fire chief owes her dinner for two.
Aye.
Here's your,
Thank you.
you want to say something?
I really don't like to talk in front of a lot of people.
We'll all
Well-
turn around then.
I just want to thank everybody. It's nice to be Employee of the Month and recognized for the hard work I've done, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Wilma.
Thank you.
Mayor, Commissioners, one of the things that she's done that's been innovative since she first started with us, our ESD calls has increased, our amounts has increased from 145,000 to 97,000 because of her efforts. So that's another thing I commend her for.
Great job.
Congratulations. Thank you, Wilma.
Last year, but I don't know about.
Next item, the consent agenda.
Consent agenda items, items A and B.
Mayor, so moved to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
Need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Number 2, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint one member to the Brownsville Public Library.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, on behalf of Graciana De Pena, President of the Brownsville Public Library Board, she would like us to bring to you this evening a recommendation on the board to possibly reappoint a board member who has served faithfully on the board for 3 years, Mary Trevino, who is a school librarian in the southwest area of our city. And the recommendation of the board to the commission is consideration on her reappointment.
Also approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Arroyo, seconded by Commissioner Longoria, for reappointment. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jerry. Next item.
Item 3, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2005-001 to rezone from dwelling G classification to medium retail G classification, Lot 10 of North NS Liddell subdivision near Calle Milpa Verde and East Avenue.
Mayor and City Commission, this is a lot shaded in red, this location, this is Calle Milpa Verde. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend this application to you. This is for a grocery store on the street, rezoning from a dwelling G to a medium retail classification.
All right, this is a public hearing.
I move, we close public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is an action on first reading.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item number 4, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2005-500 to rezone from light retail G classification to general retail G classification, 22.851 acres out of Share 19 of Espiritu Santo Grant near Old Port Isabel Road and Boca Chica Boulevard.
Mayor, this is the area shaded in red here. Boca Chica is on the south of the map here, on the bottom of the map, and this is Old Port Isabel Road. The Walmart is located here, and of course, as you may know, this is zoning change for the Walmart. The new Walmart will be located right behind the existing facility. The Plan Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend this for your approval. It's a rezoning from a retail G to a general retail G classification.
They're just expanding the Walmart, Ben?
It's will be a brand-new store.
A brand new store.
All right, this is a public hearing.
So move to close public hearing.
Motion to
Second.
close and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action?
I move we approve.
Motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 5, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2005-1200.126 regarding a petition to annex a 20-acre tract of land owned by the Brownsville Housing Authority located on US 281, being a portion of lots 17 and 18 Barredas Gardens subdivision.
Mayor and City Commission, this is our third public hearing and the first reading of the ordinance on this tract of land shaded in blue here, which is the Sanchez Vela subdivision, developer being the Brownsville Housing Authority. The San Pedro community is here, this is 281.
All right, this is a public hearing.
So moved to close public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action on first
Move to
reading.
approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2005-1200.127 regarding a petition to annex a 26.11 acre tract of land owned by Scott Campbell located northeast of the intersection of Highway 281 and Olmito Cavazos Road.
Mayor and City Commission, this is the area shaded in blue here. This is 1732. The US 281 is here in the south. You know, the one that you just approved is about a mile and a half to the south. This 281 and 1732 connect in this point here. This is a single-family development. You did have some questions last time, which PUB answered. PUB representatives are here again tonight. This is a public hearing.
All right, this is a public hearing. Any questions?
Mayor, I just had a
Go ahead,
comment on
Commissioner.
some of these annexations that we're about to take action on. And this is that we as a commission need to be clear as to what we're accepting to bring into this city. Because we are going to be responsible and having to answer to the citizens when they come before us on why they have not received the services that they're entitled to as taxpayers. Mind you, I am of a clear mind that other taxpayers have been paying in the years past, and these people will be starting to contribute to the tax base. But the fact is that once we start taking upon all these properties and all this land to make them part of the city, that we should be aware that we are going to have to provide the services and that we are going to be getting the complaints when they don't because of response times and because of all the other services that need provided and that they're so far out. So I am of the agreement that we do need to expand and continue with our growth, but at what cost? Realize that this is going to be a cost to the city, to our budget, to be able to maintain and to be able to provide the services for these people that are out there.
Mr. Medina?
Go ahead,
I
Commissioner.
also have a question, Mayor. On this particular piece of property, the last time we met at the public hearing, I'm still not clear. Did PUB say that they would certify it? Or it's a PUB certified area and they would provide service?
It's a
or-
CPNL certified area. They would petition,
But there was some question
PUC.
about distance, wasn't there? How far it is for PUB to?
and the engineer representatives are here, but they could service the area, my understanding, and they have clarified.
Weren't we raising
Is it-
some questions about cost,
it-
wasn't it
Yes.
very
Is it dual
far?
certified?
Hold on, Commissioner. Go
No,
ahead.
No.
it's CPNL certified, but the developer would petition the PUB that they would like them to service, then PUB would turn around and petition the PUC to allow them to be certified in that area, and then they could provide the service.
Now, that's for electric. Water and wastewater, it is
No, I'm sorry, the sewer and water is Military Highway Water Supply
military house.
Corporation.
So we're just talking about getting a concession on the electric.
And the electric, yes.
Okay.
But my recollection was that it was very far, and so it was going to be extremely costly, and so then I'm concerned about annexing something like that. Mr. Campidano?
Or to
Mayor, members of the City Commission. What would happen in effect is that it is single certified CP&L, so in order for us to serve it, we would have to be requested by the developer to offer service. We would determine the cost of extending service, and based on that, we would make a determination whether or not it would be feasible to extend it, or the developer would have to pay to have the service extended. But if you do annex it, it is the developer has the option of asking PUB if they want the service. If you do annex it, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that they will receive electric service. There is a provider there, and they're going to have to pay someone for that.
But my understanding is that the developer is going to request that PUB be allowed to provide service. Is that right?
There will be an expense to the developer to do that.
All right. Okay.
These are all owner-initiated petitions for annexation.
Yeah.
So
So if we vote yes to annex today, Does that mean PUB will come before us again later, or they'll have to provide service, or?
The way it would work, Commissioner Arroyo, is that once it's inside the city, and because it's in single certified CP&L, the developer will have to ask us to provide them service. We will get information from them on what it is they intend to do. We will prepare a petition to request a PUCT to simply allow us to be able to provide that service. It will not come back before the City Commission once you annex it.
Mr.
In
Capitano,
regards to
then-
the, go ahead.
Sorry, Commissioner De Leon?
Mr. Capitano, then it would be that it'd be at PUB's expense to extend those services?
Not necessarily, Commissioner De Leon. We would determine what the cost would be and have to make a decision whether it's something that we can bear, afford or not. If we can't afford it, then, developer is going to have to contribute and have to pay the cost of that annexation, that extension of service.
Commissioner Sablet?
I understood from a conversation with Mr. Brusiak that the developer's responsibility to extend the services at their cost.
Yes, they
And
bear.
you tell me something different
Well,
today.
they do bear a significant cost of that extension.
No, I'm talking
And-
about all costs of water and waste, the extension. According to Mr. Brusiak and Ms. Gomez, they were here last time.
Yes, this is not a water and wastewater issue, Commissioner Zavaleta. This is strictly an electric issue.
I'm not talking about electric. I understand
Yeah.
electric.
Now,
I'm
on the
talking about
water side, yes, that's correct. But on this particular annexation, we cannot serve it with water or wastewater. It's not within our area to serve.
Who's going to service them?
Military highway water supply.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing.
Move we close public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second.
And a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Action item.
We approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.
Item 7, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2005-1200.128 regarding a petition to annex 69.91 acres tract of land owned by J.W. Wells and a 74.21 acre tract of land initiated by the city of Brownsville, located northeast of the intersection of Highway 100 and FM 803.
May have to redo the lines.
Mayor and City Commission, this is the area shaded in blue here that the owner initiated is this part here, where a subdivision will be developed, and the city initiated is this rectangle here. We had to do this in order to connect from the existing boundary north of Highway 100 and on the east side of the intersection of 803 and Highway 100. It connects from this part going north, so that would be the connection here. In this particular case, I believe it's the East Rio Hondo Water Supply Corporation and CP&L. Again, the same discussion would be that the developer would petition PUB for services, electrical services.
Mr. Gambirano, I'm starting to hear military, I'm starting to hear Rio Hondo, I'm starting to hear CP&L. I understand that you have agreements with these companies, but
No, the way it works, Commissioner, is that in the case of electric service, we have means of serving an area that is singly certified to CP&L. If the city annexes it, we can go in there and provide service. If it is served by, for example, Magic Valley, that's their service territory. We could not offer service. I think you had that situation with your library in Southmost. On the water and wastewater side, if we have dual certification to serve with water and wastewater, we can do that. An example would be El Jardín. El Jardín is completely within the certification area of Brownsville PUB. So when you have El Jardín being the water provider and PUB, we can go in there and provide that service. That's not necessarily the case with Military Highway Water Supply, where it's singly certified to Military Highway Water Supply. The same thing can be true if it's singly certified to Olmito Water Supply, then we can't provide it. Now, we do have dual certification with Olmito. So in areas where it's duly certified to PUB and Olmito, we can go and provide that service. We do not have any kind of agreement with East Rio Hondo. So where it's singly certified in this particular case, this is within the service territory of East Rio Hondo or the city of Los Fresnos, then we cannot provide the water and wastewater.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Take me through the process, for example. We annex an area, okay, that is certified by you all, by the PUB. You tell us, that you can do it. Do you have to go back to your board and get the board approval, or is that arbitrary on your part, or Brusiak's part, to say yes? Or do you have to go back and?
No. If it is within PUB, and it's within, we have service policies that define what it is we can do, what the request. For example, for water and sewer, if someone requests service from PUB for water and sewer, we're obligated to provide them that service, but they have to pay to have the service delivered to their property.
I see. You do not have to go through your board. It's part of the policy.
That's correct. There's service
that's already been
policies in
approved
place.
by the board.
That's correct.
Okay.
The only time you would go to the board if there is going to be a competitive matter or something that would require, something that it's either a policy issue that only they can have the authority
But
to
in
deal
regards
with.
to annexations, we have no problem. I mean,
No,
you won't have to give the approval of the board before.
No, sir.
Okay, all right.
All right. This is a public hearing.
So move to close public hearing.
Motion to close and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is an action item.
So move to approve.
Motion to
Second.
approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, item 8.
Item 8, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2005-1200.129 regarding a petition to annex a 227.35 acre tract of land owned by Manuel Casanova located southwest of the intersection of Highway 77 and Olmito Cavazos Road.
Mayor and City Commission, this is the area you shaded in blue. This is 1732, and you have the Olmito Townside subdivision here. This is the expressway. This would be a single-family development. It's quite large. It's 227 acres. We had discussion on this in the last public hearings. If you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any other questions, comments? This is a public hearing.
Mayor, this one is also going to be serviced by PUB?
Ben, what's the status on that
In this
one?
case, again, it's CPNL certified for electric. The same discussion,
They
they
will
would
also be
petition
requesting
PUB.
that
In
it-
this particular case, the part, well, I will ask Mr. Campirano, but I believe the one right next that we're going to discuss right after this item, part of it is duly certified PUB and Olmito Water Supply Corporation for water and sewer. But I believe this case here, it would be PUB.
Would it be costing PUB any money?
The part of the certification, this particular tract of land is about 70% of it is singly certified to PUB on the water and wastewater side, and 30% of it is overlap with Olmito, so we could serve it with water and wastewater.
And what about the utility?
The utilities, again, the policy would require the developer to pay for that. Now, I think one of the discussions that you had in your previous, all of these annexations are going to cost us money in some form or fashion, getting back to Commissioner Longoria's discussion about how, services are going to be required. Over time, simply with growth, we are going to have to invest money in being able to handle this growth. But for the purposes of the particular subdivision, the policy would require the developer to pay for the extension of those services.
All right, this is the public hearing.
Move to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. First action item.
So move we approve.
Motion to approve. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I think we need some coffee up here, Charlie. Item 9.
Item 9, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2005-1200.130 regarding a petition to annex 493-acre tract of land owned by Renato E. Cardenas located southwest of the intersection of Highway 77 and Olmito Cavazos Road.
Mayor and City Commission, this is the adjacent tract of land, 493 acres. Again, Olmito Town Site Subdivision, the Expressway 1732. Again, this is duly certified on the top portion by Olmito Water Supply and PUB on the southern part, and CPL certified as well.
All right, this is a public hearing. Any questions or comments?
Move to close public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. First action.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
A second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 10, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2005-1200.131 regarding a petition to annex 83.56 acre tract of land owned by Anthony E. Gray located southwest of the intersection of FM 511 and Indiana Avenue.
Mayor and City Commissioner, this is the 83 acres shaded in blue. It's owner-initiated petition for annexation. As you can see, both the top or the north side of the corners of this triangle-shaped parcel of property is touching the city limits. There's already a development being, a subdivision under development here in the first phase. Again, this is an owner-initiated petition for annexation.
All right. This is a public hearing. Any questions or comments?
Move to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. First action.
Move to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ben. Item 11.
11, consideration and action regarding the closure of East Elizabeth Street between 4th and 5th, Sunday, February 20th, 2005, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. for the Baile del Sol activities.
So move to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Let's get it started.
Item 12, consideration.
Sorry, hold on, Nellie. That's a reminder, February the 20th, Sunday, between East 4th and East 5th, from 8 to 7, the Baile del Sol activities, which will kick off our Char Days activities. Okay, let's
Item
move on to the
12.
other less important business.
Consideration and action regarding the use of city streets at the end of Palm Boulevard at the intersection of Mexico Boulevard in the former Amigoland area for the 68th Annual Char Days 20th Century Rides Carnival from February 21st through March 8th for carnival equipment parking.
This is for the same event, Mayor.
Move to
The
approve.
Puckett's in the audience. He's out of hibernation for
Does
Charlie.
he not want to come up here and,
He's still
Move to approve, Mayor.
all right, we have a motion to
Second.
approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Good luck this year, Michael. Item 13.
Item 13, consideration and action to acknowledge the finance director's financial statements and cash investment report for the city of Brownsville for the first quarter ending December 31st, 2004.
Pete has a very short report for us this evening.
Long report. All good news.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this particular report is in your electronic backup information as well as the PowerPoint presentation. The PowerPoint presentation that was just handed to you has changes from the one that's in the electronic backup information on the agenda. Before I begin the PowerPoint, we look at the quarterlies obviously on a quarterly basis, but we also monitor the financials on a monthly basis. And some of the key points that we would like to point out to you tonight is on the revenue side. Sales tax is ahead of budget by about $143,000 on the first quarter. If we stay with the same growth between now and the end of the year, we should have a positive growth of approximately $575,000. Other positive revenue sources that we have right now is the garbage fees. Right now, we're averaging about $79,000 more than what we have in our budget for the quarter. The ambulance service fees are also up about $86,000. The lot cleaning, since we hired that attorney, our revenues have increased by about $23,000 so far for the quarter. Interest earnings, we're about $37,000 in the plus. Now, there are some negatives, and the negatives are landfill fees. As you recall, last year, we still had some homes and businesses that were remodeling, and that's because of the roof damages that were caused by the 2003 April hailstorm, and that carried over to 2004. So we see a decrease in landfill fees. We also had the Motel 6, that quite a bit of construction debris material was taken to the landfill. We also had the two schools in the public schools that were taking some items from the molding problems that they had. So that's the reason why we believe that the landfill fees are down approximately $132,000 per quarter, so that would put us around $500,000. So we gain in the sales tax, but we may lose in the landfill fees. Again, this is just one quarter. We will be looking this on a monthly basis. The other item that stands out is municipal court fines. My indication that there has been a decrease in the citations, so hopefully that will improve between now and the end of the fiscal year, the next three quarters. The other item that we see we need to make an adjustment on our budget at a future date is the transfers from the PUB. We had originally budgeted $4 million. Chances are that those dollars will probably be less than the $4 million, maybe 3.4, 3.5. The other one that's also a key is the transfers from the Veterans Bridge at Los Tomates. There has been a decrease in the crossings, so therefore we see a decrease. We're looking right now at about $65,000. For the year, we may be looking at $260,000. Those are some of the areas that we're going to be looking at from now on. There are some expenses, and again, we meet with the department heads whenever we see that they're going to be exceeding their budgets. We look at their overtime. We bring that to their attention. Hopefully, like in 2004 and years past, we've always managed to spend less than what's in the budget. Now, let me begin now with the PowerPoint presentation.
Pete, could I ask a question, please, real quick? When you mentioned right now about the bridge, I know that when we do some travel to Matamoros or to Mexico, we usually always take B&M, and we use their services with the card for city travel. Is it possible for us to do that through Veterans Bridge versus B&M?
I do not know.
I asked that question a while back, Commissioner, and the problem that you have with that is when you, depending on where you're going, if you're going to the Garcias and the market area, then you're adding about anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to your ride if you cross Los Tomates. Now, if you're going over towards the industrial areas and that, then Los Tomates is the best. So while I wish we could do that, you'd be spending an extra $2 to use up another hour of time. So I asked that question last year.
Good point, thank you.
Yeah.
A second slide, Robert. This is a slide, again, this is just a history of a budget versus how we end at the end of the year. And by looking at that schedule there, you can see that every year we have always exceeded budget by this I mean that we always budget low in revenues and we always exceed the revenue, and we always budget more in expenses and we spend less. And in 2004, and again these are unaudited numbers, we had a budget of $8.6 million in the budget, and we wind up with around $12.7 million. So we gained almost $4 million, a little over $4 million. Next slide, please. This is the latest that we have as far as beginning balance, ending balance, $12,743,480. We have budgeted revenues of $64,926,655 and expenditures of $67,424,000. So we anticipated an ending fund balance of $10,245,569. And again, what I mentioned to you earlier, that would probably be adjusted during the year based on the revenues that are being collected, whether or not we're meeting expectations or not. Next. This is again, this is just the general fund, how much money we have received, how much money we have spent for the first quarter, we show revenues over expenditures by about $2.6 million, fund balance of $15.3 million. Next. The Convention and Tourism Fund, this is where we have the hotel motel tax goes into this fund, as well as the event center rentals. This fund always needs a subsidy from the general fund to operate. As you can see right now, expenses exceeded revenues by $268,000, but we do have a transfer coming in from the general fund at a future date. Next. The event center, this is just money that has been there. We probably need to spend it as far as for capital expenditures of $12,000. Next. This is the Community Development Fund. Again, this is all federal money, $581,448 realized, $581,448 spent. Next. The debt service fund, non-bonded debt service fund is for lease purchases. We have a fund balance of $48,000 in this fund. Next. The debt service fund, that has to be adjusted upwards. As you can see at the very top of that schedule, you have $1.7 million. The fund balance should be around, because we're going to make another adjustment, around $2.4 million, $2.5 million. So again, this fund has enough money to pay all the debt that is coming due this year regarding the bonds. Next. This is the landfill tipping fee increase fund. We have revenues are exceeding expenditures by very close, $92,000. Next. Airport. Airport has seen a decrease in the rental fees, and again because of the companies that left the airport a year ago. Again, this fund needs a big subsidy from the general fund, around $1.6 million, and that's how much money we're going to be transferring this year.
Gotta get to work, Larry.
Next. This is the bridge fund, which I've already gone over. Right now, we have $490,000. Next. This is just a comparison on the bridge and we have payments through November. You can see that there is a decrease of $41,928. If you compare the same period last year with the same period this year, and as far as budget, we're about 14% down. Next. Parking meter fund. There was a decrease in the revenues this particular quarter, and that was associated with the free parking that was given to the people that were doing their Christmas shopping during the Christmas holidays for two weeks, I believe. So there was a decrease. So right now, 11,000. So hopefully, between now and the end of the year, that's going to show a positive balance. It's next. The transit system, right now through the first quarter, and again, the transit system operates at a loss like any other system across the United States. We get subsidized from the federal government as well as the state government and local government. Right now, the state has contributed $406,000, and the feds $854,000. Next. Finally, this is the last fund that not really. There's more funds. The golf course has shown an improvement. Losses of only $8,000 for the quarter. Next. This shows you the investments that the city has. We're comparing the investments that we had at a year ago versus the investments that we had as of December of 2004. And obviously there's an increase. The city of Brownsville investments have decreased from $66 million to $63 million, and the reason for this is that as we spent money from the bond funds, obviously the investments go down. So,
Pete, Commissioner De Leon?
Going back to the golf course, you say we're losing $8,000 a month?
This a quarter, Commissioner, a quarter.
Okay.
So
it looks better. It's getting better, Commissioner.
That's $30,000 for the year instead of $150,000.
$1,000 a day.
And finally, the next slide is this is just a comparing all city funds, and I have general fund there also, and all the other entities like the JBIC, the BCIC, and the PID, because we do their accounting for them, we also do their investments for them. And had we stayed with tax pool, we would have earned, like on the first one on city funds, $192,734. We stayed with First National Bank, we gained $114,250. Overall, to make a long story short, the total that we gain is $208,000 for the quarter. For the city of Brownsville is only about $150,000. That
All right.
concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Pete. This is an action item.
To approve?
Motion to acknowledge, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Pete. Next item.
Item 14, consideration and action of resolution number 2005-003, providing for a general municipal election to be held on May 7, 2005, for the purpose of electing 3 or more members of the City Commission and authorizing execution of an interlocal cooperation act agreement with the Cameron County Elections Administrator and dealing with related matters. Do you have any questions on that one?
Total expense?
I know there was a question, Nellie, of trying to obviously join forces as best we can to streamline some of this cost with the school district. I think one of the questions you had asked or what had been asked was whether or not it could be done on one ballot, and I don't know if that's even legally possible.
Yes, it is.
It is? We can have one ballot?
We can have one ballot, and that saves a lot of money. I have the figures from the May 2003 election, and there was 46,000.
That was a cost to the city?
That was the city.
All right.
And then the September of last year, there was 68,000. So this, you can see it's 43, and it is a little lower than the charter amendment election. We do, on this particular one, we have 4 sites for early voting. May 2003, we only had 3. It's up to you if you want to leave it at 4 or reduce it.
Well,
Obviously,
What are the 4?
Hold on a second. If
you have that in your packet,
Yeah.
but I'll be happy to go over it. It's within the election call, and let me see. And it's also included in the contract. The first one, of course, is the Cameron County Courthouse, BISD, the City Library, and Christ the King. Those are the 4 sites.
In the school district.
BISD School
The
District.
administration building.
The administration building. It's attachment
Actually, it's in
A
section
of
7, Commissioner, of the contract.
Of the contract, attachment A of the contract. It's towards,
Page 3 of the,
Page 2,
of the call.
section 3.
Yeah, page 3, that's right.
Mayor, I'd like
The May 2003, we only had 3 sites. We can have 2 sites,
Well,
or,
but if we have 4 and we're talking about 43,000, then
So
that's not, I don't
Yeah.
think that should be a problem. Commissioner De Leon?
I think those 4 sites is fine, but I think that if we can go together with the BASD, we could save the taxpayers.
If we do one ballot, Nellie, with the school district, for example, you've got 28,000 ballots. Now, I think we're being extremely optimistic, and we could probably cut that down. But even assuming we stick with the 28,000, if we join with them, obviously that cuts that in half. So would we,
again, this is an estimate. Once we determine if you agree with going with one ballot, that's going to reduce the printing and some other
What
costs
else?
also. But I don't have the figure yet.
and assuming the school board also agrees, if we do this together, how, is their amount also about 43,000?
Yes.
Okay, so in essence, we can streamline it, we can reduce it a little bit, but it's not going to be
Not a
a
huge.
huge savings, but we can save a few more $1,000.
And you have to realize on personnel, for instance, we have to have the number of clerks, the judge, alternate, and clerks. And so we're looking at about 35 to 40% cost on personnel.
But if
And
we
that's a
have,
given.
but if we have it joint,
We'll still share.
does that number get cut in half, or?
That's pretty fixed.
That's pretty
Based-
fixed.
That's based on the sites for early vote and election day. That
Oh,
is
I see.
pretty
So
fixed.
what you've done here is split it in half already?
Right.
Okay, all right.
And I can get the figure, well, once I go back to the county elections administrator, BISD has agreed to one ballot. They like that idea. They also want to keep the cost down. Once we determine that, if you agree with also the site that that's okay,
What-
then we'll,
So can we approve the one single ballot along with the early vote, and then there's still some of these other issues that if
Could
you can bring
come-
back to us in 2 weeks?
right.
All right, well, I think that's fair.
That's fair.
And just to make a note on the sites, we combined, in the May 2003 was 32 sites, this is 31. One precinct that hardly had any
To join that one with
votes was
another.
put in there. We can reduce it further if you wanted to. In the charter amendment, we had 28 sites.
Again,
That's also.
I think you're gonna have to work with the school district and
yes.
figure out if that's, right now you've got it with 31 sites, and this is the number you've got.
Right.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve the
So moved
early
to
voting
approve.
sites?
Second.
Along with the use of a single ballot with the school district?
So moved to
We have a
approve.
motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And then you look into these other potential costs that may be saving.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Item 15. Consideration and action on resolution number 2005-004 to authorize staff to draft ordinance concerning the transfer of funds from the city to other entities and dealing with related matters. Mr. Medina,
Yes, Mayor and City Commission.
I didn't want you to rush back to your chair, Nelly.
Mayor and City Commission, with this resolution, we're asking your permission so staff can start drafting ordinances or an ordinance that would guide the city and staff of who we allocate money, either through federal funds or local funds, to other entities. It's something that we need in our administrative.
This is a federal requirement to be sure that we're tracking every dollar that we're receiving from HUD and where's it going, right?
That's correct.
All right.
So moved to approve, Mayor.
Motion to approve?
Second?
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 16.
Consideration and action to approve a final invoice to G&T Paving for the 2002 Street and Drainage Capital Improvement Project, contract number 3.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, this is the final payment for the 2002 CIP project. Everything has been completed and approved, and we came in $6,877 under budget.
Excellent.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion to approve in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 17.
Consideration and action to approve final invoices to G&T Paving for the Morrison Road project.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, again, this is the final payment for the temporary Morrison Road from Expressway to Pablo Quisao. Everything has been completed and approved, and we came in $4,185 under budget.
Move we approve.
For two.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Keep
Lester.
them under budget.
Item 18.
Item 18, consideration and action to approve an advanced funding agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for the reconstruction of FM 1847 between FM 511 to south of the railroad overpass.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, this is an advancement agreement with TxDOT for the overpass of the 1847-511 project.
The total cost is what? I know our portion is 605,000, but the total cost of the project is,
Something, it's in the,
I think ours was like 5%.
yeah, our portion is like 5% of that, so it's in the millions, yeah.
That's not a bad
And some of
match.
this, some of the other entities, the city manager's checking into that, or y'all are checking into getting them to?
Actually, this money's already been
This money's been allocated.
allocated from the
Oh.
sale of the Resaca de la Palma
Resaca.
property.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right.
Carlos,
Yes.
okay, well,
Go ahead.
take
Commissioner.
action on it. Someone to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank
I know
you,
that a
Mr.
lot of our engineering firms do quality work, all of the, when, the people that you hire. And it's good that we come out under budget. Man, we like seeing that coming under
Yeah.
budget. But always just keep it in mind that our citizens do come first and that the quality of projects and the streets that need to be done be maintained to the highest.
Oh, yes, we do check that. That's something we strive to maintain, quality, and make sure that we don't get cheated out of anything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lester. Item 19.
Item 19, consideration and action to award change order number 1 to the construction contract for the Southmost Library.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, On January 6th of 2004, the City Commission awarded the contract for the construction of the Southmost Branch Library for the Brownsville Library System to Roth Construction of Victoria, Texas. The amount of that contract was $2,761,440. $2,761,440, excuse me. The project received funding from various sources, but the total amount of funding allocated to the project is $3,612,000. During the course of construction of this project, we've had a few issues that require this particular change order. The important thing to point out to you is that the value of this change order, which is $17,996, is being charged to the established contingency fund within the project, so there is no additional funding required. And we'd be happy to go over those particular changes. None of them are very large in scope, but the sum of the 6 or 7 different items do equate to that 17,000. Calvin Walker, the project local architect, is also here if you have any particular questions that you would like to ask of him. This adds 24 days to the project, Commissioner. In order to do this, the preponderance of the delays that have been incurred on that project was due to the rain that we had last spring. We haven't had any substantial delays due to any real construction issues where we check the project on a weekly basis, myself, Jerry, and also Doro from our engineering. We have monthly meetings with the contractor, and we're satisfied that they are.
Are we having any, or should I say we're having good conversations and communication with the contractor?
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 20, discussion.
Item 20, discussion regarding the Rio Transit route connecting the Brownsville Urban System Downtown Terminal and the Brownsville South Padre Island Airport with the Port of Brownsville, Laguna Heights, Port Isabel, and South Padre Island.
Good evening, Ms. Zamora.
Good evening, everyone. I was asked to come in and present some information to you regarding this route. With me here today, I've got the Director of Regional Transit for the Lower Rio Grande Development Council, Manuel Flores, and Tom Reyna, Planner 2, that works for him. They were able to provide me some information regarding the ridership on this route so far. The ridership, and then this is for the first 8 days of the month, the first 8 days of the route. There's from January the 17th through January the 25th. It consists of 8 days. I'm going to talk about the trips that were picked up first, and then I'll talk about where they were dropped off. We had a total of 204 passengers that had been picked up on the first 4 days of that route. Of those 204 passengers, 10 were picked up in Laguna Heights, 1 in the Port of Brownsville, 2 were picked up at the Brownsville Airport, 87 were picked up at Port Isabel, and 104 of them were picked up at the downtown terminal at Market Square. Now, where do we take those passengers? Well, the destination, which is the paper underneath that. Those same 204 passengers that were picked up at those various destinations were dropped off at 7 were dropped off in Laguna Heights, 18 were dropped off at the Port of Brownsville, 3 were dropped off at the Brownsville Airport, 88 were dropped off in Port Isabel, and the other 88 were dropped off in the downtown hub in the Market Square of Brownsville. I also want to mention that I did call Kate Ball from the island, and of the 204 passengers that were, and this was an estimate number that she could give me because, it's the end of the month and we were still trying to get those numbers finalized. 42 of those actually transferred to the wave to proceed to the island.
40, basically almost half of the 88 that went to Port Isabel transferred to the wave to South Padre.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And basically, that was what I was here to present for you. If you want any detailed information on these numbers, Tom Lena would be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions or comments from the commission? Ms. Amora, did you have an opportunity to meet with the representatives of the taxi association or the taxi drivers?
Myself personally, I was not able to attend that meeting because I was going through a state audit at the time. But I know that there was other city staff that was present.
Who was able to meet with them?
I believe the city manager and Larry Brown and Tom Logan, my transit planner, was also present.
Some of the taxi drivers are here.
I understand that.
We
I
did
don't-
meet with them.
You did meet with them?
Yes, sir.
All right. Were they provided this information, or is this the first time they see this?
Oh, sir, this is the activity, I believe Norma said 4 days. I thought it was the first 8 days.
Right, it's the first 8 days.
Okay.
From the 17th through the
Through the 31st?
through the 25th of January.
8 days.
That information was not available at the time we met, Mayor. We met on a Friday after the Tuesday meeting, I believe.
All right. I don't know if anybody from the Taxi Association, Mr. Longoria, if you'd like to speak, and then I'll know there's also members of the airport board here.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, señor Longoria.
Voy a preferir hablar en español.
¿Cómo no?
Todos. La venida de nosotros aquí, no queremos repetirles más ni quitarles más su tiempo, nada más queremos buscar, y como varios de ustedes nos ofrecieron el apoyo en esto, no es un apoyo injusto lo que estamos pidiendo, vuelvo a decirles nuevamente, queremos el apoyo porque en verdad nos van a perjudicar bastante. Y habíamos llegado a un acuerdo de que si no se quitaba todo esto, porque ya habían pasado esto o venía de fondos federales, de perdida que nos quitaran lo del aeropuerto para que no nos perjudiquen más, ya que en realidad los dividendos que sacamos son pocos. Si tenemos el apoyo de ustedes, se los vamos a agradecer bastante.
Señor Longoria, nos acaban de dar información sobre los primeros 8 días, no sé si...
sí, lo entendí.
Ok, lo que están enseñando es esos primeros 8 días del aeropuerto eran, levantaron 2 y dejaron 3 en esos 8 días, que básicamente si vas al mes son como 8, 3, 4, más o menos 20 personas total. No, 8 a 10 personas total por todo el mes.
Para empezar, sí.
Sí. Okay.
Pero...
Y la otra cosa, y Norma, correct me if I'm wrong, this route or system was in existence before the Lower Rio Grande Valley took it over?
Discontinued 18 months ago, Mayor.
It was discontinued 18, how long had it been in operation prior to that?
I am not sure. Norma would have to answer.
Go ahead, Norma.
It was a route that was being provided by Valley Transit, the Valley Transit Company, VTC, and they had been providing that for several years. But unfortunately, about 18 months ago, they weren't able to get the federal fundings to subsidize the route, and so therefore they cut it. So there was no form of transportation back and forth between the island and the city of Brownsville. Or Port Isabel per se, Port Isabel and Brownsville. So calls started coming to our offices, into the Lower Rio Grande Development offices, trying to see how that could be resolved. And the Lower Rio Grande Development Council was able to obtain some federal funds, and then that's when we started discussing the possibility of maybe bringing that route back. Of course, we don't have the numbers that VTC had. Those are their numbers. They weren't.
But even though they use federal dollars, that's not public information?
It is, but we haven't.
We haven't gotten them.
We haven't gotten them.
Can you request them?
We can try to, we can certainly request them. I'm not sure if he'll give them to us, but
Can't hurt to ask.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Commissioner.
Señor Longoria, quisiera que usted nos presentara un estudio qué efecto va a tener en dólares para ustedes, los taxistas, si esto se lleva a cabo. Ahorita, no, yo sé que no me lo puede dar ahorita, pero después, antes de que nosotros tomemos una acción, yo quisiera qué efecto va a tener en ustedes, cómo les va a afectar en dólares, cuánto van a ganar menos ustedes.
Como dijo el señor Treviño, quizás ahorita por lo pronto son poquitos, pero con la advertisement que están haciendo en internet y todo, poco a poquito va a ir agarrando más y más clientes. Entonces sí nos va a afectar, sí nos va a afectar. Ahorita no nos afecta en sí, pero vamos a decir, ya viene Spring Break, ahí sí nos va a afectar, y nos va a afectar bastante,
Bueno,
para
pero-
empezar. Y luego ya pues sigue lo demás, ¿verdad? Vuelvo a lo mismo, si viniera nada más aquí y no al aeropuerto de perdida, nosotros estaríamos, pues vaya, contentos ya con eso, de perdida. Porque acá a lo que les va a quitar, pues es a la ciudad, y que sería, pues a nosotros mismos, por no decir a ustedes, ¿verdad?
Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner De Leon.
Usted lo que está sugiriendo es que los taxistas traigan el pasaje del aeropuerto aquí a la terminal de Brownsville, aquí al Morning Square.
Sí, señor, una de esas sí. Y otra que, por decir, en Spring Break es una cosa, ¿verdad? Yo sé, yo entiendo eso. Pero aún así, el aeropuerto, los taxistas que están en el aeropuerto por lo regular, viven de ahí del aeropuerto. Entonces, si va a empezar esta cosa ahí, que como ya empezó, van a levantar bastante pasaje. Y entonces ya va a haber mucho menos viajes. Y con el tiempo sí nos va a perjudicar bastante. Es como si nosotros, de taxistas, anduviéramos en las paradas de los autobuses de aquí de la ciudad ofreciendo taxi a dólar y vemos montoncitos de 4 o 5. Vamos a perjudicarnos todos juntos, ¿verdad? Y no queremos hacer eso.
Go ahead.
Un poco difícil, digamos, la competencia del autobús que está subsidiado con fondos federales y estatales, y debido a que ustedes no tienen esa ventaja. Ahora bien, estaba platicando con otro comisionado en la mañana y sugirió, dije, oye, pero si yo vengo a negocios, yo no creo que vaya yo a subirme a un autobús, yo voy a tratar de subirme a un taxi. Entonces, ¿qué va a pasar ahí, Mayor?
They'll still, yeah, they'll still be there, and those numbers are very interesting. I think we need to trail it for a while and follow it for a while, but I'm glad to see that the numbers that they were concerned with, at least for the first week, haven't been that extensive.
I think we need to continue to
Yeah.
monitor it, to
Yeah.
help them,
Monitor it.
because we're charging the taxi drivers a fee to be there at the airport. And then if we're going to affect their business also, I mean, I wouldn't want that to happen.
what
I've
stands
kept
out in my-
out of this for obvious reasons, and I abstain from the vote. But comments that I do need to make are here. Is this transit company paying for a license? Were they subject to public notice the way they were?
No.
I understand Mr. Guerra wanted to bring in a car, and he had to notify for 3 days in the newspaper to be able to notify. Now, there's a lot of things that they need to do to be able to work for the city. If any of you have had a chance to see their ordinance, our public employees have a smaller ordinance for bus than the taxi drivers do.
That's correct.
And
What public employees?
in other words, as following ordinances, as far as transportation is concerned, they've got about an 18-page ordinance on taxi drivers that gives certain specifics that end up costing them a lot of money. I don't want to get involved because I went before a previous city commission representing them. But those facts were stated back then, and it has been in effect in this ordinance where they are affected. My God, some of these people take home $120 a week to survive on their family. You know, some people qualify for public assistance, some don't. And I'll give you a personal issue. On my instance, we didn't qualify for public assistance. My father was making $150 a week and trying to put me through college. That means I had to work while I tried to put myself through school. My parents tried to put me through school. You know, I don't want to take away from things that are going to help the city, but yet we need to understand that there are over 300 families that get affected by any little thing that we bring in. When there are taxi drivers that work exclusively at the airport, and I say that one passage that's taken away from them is one passage too much
Mr. Mayor?
in some instances.
Jim?
Say that the good points that I know that you all are discussing now, perhaps be a good idea for staff to consider revising the existing taxi ordinance, because it does require, like, for example, there's a set number of taxis. Police chief has to be, to give approval in order for there to be a new taxi placed in service, a number of different.
Well, and I mean, and part of this also has to deal with the protection of the public at large. A lot of these are basically mandated or followed because of the state.
Correct.
Well, actually, Mayor, I'd like to get you a copy of it. Actually, there's a lot of.
I'm not saying that it all is, hopefully it can be refined, but that's something that we need to look at, and maybe this issue has brought up that issue,
Yeah.
which, you know, I have to be honest, this doesn't look like it's going to affect the taxi association, but I think we need to monitor it. I don't want to take away a benefit to a lot of people and make it a detriment to a few people, but by the same token, if we can revise the ordinance to make it easier for them to do business, be it at the airport or anywhere else for that matter, then I think we ought to take advantage of the opportunity and help them if we can, while at the same time offering additional services to the public at large.
Maybe staff could offer to meet with Mr. Longoria and whoever else he feels like would be helpful.
A ver si se pueden juntar, señor Longoria, para revisar, estudiar la ordenancia sobre los taxistas. A lo mejor hay muchas demandas que ponemos contra los taxistas que no, a lo mejor no es necesario. Podemos quitar varios de esos y hacerlo más fácil para que ustedes sigan trabajando. A lo mejor este problema nos va a dar una solución de otro problema.
What gets me a lot of the time is that how do you compete with a federal or a state subsidy?
Well, and that's why I asked the question. This had been in existence for years prior to. So it's not like this is the first time that this has been around or that this has been going on at the airport.
I can give you a real quick example that I went through it as a college student coming down to Brownsville for my spring break, where VTC had a subsidy, but yet they would provide a $5 shuttle service to the island during spring break. And the majority of my friends preferred taking the bus for $5 rather than going on a taxi cab. And we had about 8 to 10 VTC buses parked all along International, just taking back hordes of spring breakers. And I foresee that with something like this during spring
Norma,
break.
during peak season, i.e. spring break, are there going to be more buses running, or is it going to stay the same throughout the year? The same number of seats are going to be available. So in other words, if there's an increase in business, i.e. more spring breakers, actually the numbers available on the bus are going to stay the same, so that the taxi drivers should hopefully
Right now, there's just 2 buses assigned to that route, and that's what's going to stay.
Is there any plans to add any buses to that? Okay, all right.
I think, Charlie, wasn't there some other disadvantage if the buses run instead of the taxis? I think you told me something, I forgot what it was.
Well, we need to, as Pete informed earlier in his quarterly report, we need to look at the rentals. We get a percentage of the rentals of all vehicles at the airport. And as far as the ordinances, we have discussed that, and we've agreed to meet with them and the police chief to.
See if there's something we can.
And there is something we can do. I agree with Commissioner Boyd.
Yeah. Mayor Vickers, I know you were here this evening. Would you like to say something as also our airport chairman?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, I do not really understand why creating a bus service for the people of Brownsville raises such a question with our friends that operate taxi cabs. They're in a legitimate business, and I've always felt that a decision has to be made on what is the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And this applies in this particular case. Nowhere was this ever conceived to do any harm to anybody. But with Valley Transit discontinuing a service that we so direly needed, we have on the airport board for years looked for methods in which we could establish this particular type of service. And Brownsville simply needs it and can't do without it. This is advertised all over the internet. It's being advertised by Continental Airways, and passengers see this when they're booking a flight, definitely will choose to come to Brownsville instead of going to our sister city up there. Now, the fares that you pay on other airports run anywhere from $45 to a shuttle, okay, as high as $70 for a cab fare. Well, now this is unbelievable when we can provide a service for the people of Brownsville for $2. It is incumbent upon us to do so. And by no way has this ever been thought of or to been put into effect to hurt anybody. It's to enhance the traveling public to come to our city and to have another conveyance to get them to the island. So I appeal to each of you to exercise what you have always done, what is for the greatest number of people. And the preliminary numbers that you have been presented here tonight is an eye-opener. My goodness, there's a lot of people here that cannot afford a cab to go to Padre Island. This gives them that opportunity for $2 to go there and $2 to get back. Furthermore, this entire concept is supported unanimously by the city of South Padre, the city of Port Isabel, and the folks that live in Laguna Heights. And I think that is another plus and a feather in our cap to ultimately land another airline to serve the Brownsville Airport. Listen, this is a tremendous selling feature. And it's not going to hurt our friends in the cab business. It should enhance the people that want to use the service. That's the way we view it. And we have no argument with anybody at all. All we're trying to do is what's good for the greatest number of people. So, you know, they say a bell is not a bell until it is rung. A song is not a song until it is sung. We have attempted to ring the bell for Brownsville, and we're here tonight to sing the song. We feel that this has to go forward and must go forward in the interest and the overall good for the city of Brownsville. I would like to have Charles Hamilton, who is the co-chairman of the Airport Advisory Board. He has a few remarks to make to you.
Mr. Hamilton?
Just very briefly, I'd like simply to point out to the commission what has been accomplished just in the short period that this has been in effect. It has revitalized the relationship between the South Padre Island tourism industry and the airport, and I think has revitalized and stands a good shot of substantially increasing the trade we have in Brownsville from the tourists who were formerly stranded on South Padre Island who wanted to come to Brownsville. Here I have an example for you. I have an example for you of the display that is now displayed in 35 hotels on South Padre Island, all of the information centers, and a good number of the restaurants, which inform the public on how they can travel to Brownsville. Formerly, these same entities only talked about Harlingen. You would have thought that Brownsville did not exist. So already we have seen the benefits of improving our relations with the island. I would secondly like to point out to you that we are in fact in competition with all other tourist destinations. All other tourist destinations that I'm aware of offer both public transportation links and taxi service, and we should do the same. If we are not doing that, we are really shooting ourselves in the foot. We must continue to provide public transportation between the island and the airport. If we are to do so, we will see substantially enhanced benefits from the shopping and the sales tax that results from that. We will see substantially enhanced benefits from the travel that we have and from the passenger service. And we very much want to establish a second airline. We cannot do that unless we can assure the people when they get here that they have somewhere to get where they want to go. And most of them want to go to South Padre Island. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Anybody else? Commissioner?
I just wanted to comment something that Mr. Hamilton mentioned, the fact that visitors to our airport will have a choice. They can take the cab, they can take the shuttle. Just about every airport I've been to gives me the choice, and I think that's really, really important. Thank you.
Anybody else?
How many times does that bus arrive at the airport?
Twice.
I don't have the schedule.
Schedule, or how many, what?
How many times does it arrive?
At the airport. It's on the schedule. I believe it's about,
4 o'clock, 4:05.
I haven't really counted. Tom, do you know off the top of your head?
Each bus in town, they will take 12 times.
They'll stop 12 times
12 times a day?
at the airport.
Each, so then you're saying 24 times? There's 2 routes, or?
Norma?
Yes, sir.
Just for my information, let's take San Antonio, for example. You get to the airport in San Antonio, maybe I've not seen this, but is there public transportation at this cost, $2, like we're going to have here? I don't remember seeing any public transportation, any buses.
Usually nobody
or
sees,
Houston.
usually they don't see the public transportation buses, but the buses are pretty off to a corner, but most of the airports do have public transportation. You have to look for it, you know, and, but I know.
Via runs over there at San Antonio,
Right,
which is
and-
the bus, Via, it's
Yeah,
the bus
Via is
system of
the bus
San
system
Antonio.
for, and Metro in Austin also does, because we travel to Austin a little bit more, and so I know that in Austin they do. But,
They're public entities
Well,
supported by
obviously-
federal and state government?
excuse me?
Are they supported by federal and state government?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your bigger systems, you know, they do get some federal funds, but for operating, most of them have their sales tax.
Let me just ask,
Commissioner?
you know, I think there's a concern by the taxi drivers, and there's a concern by the airport, of course. And we need to monitor this and see how it affects everybody, so see what the best compromise is in this situation. And I'll ask the city manager to do that, to continue to monitor this and see how we can help, and any ordinance change on the taxi ordinance that we need to do to improve services and to help the taxi drivers out, I think we need to look into. So I think this is an opportunity for all of us to work together on that.
We got a series of meetings with them relating to
Good.
the ordinance and making some positive changes to the ordinance.
Okay.
Their main concern is going to be the loss of funds during spring break.
Charlie,
Let's see how we can help them, Charlie.
when you get the financial impact it'll have on taxi drivers, give us a percentage of the loss, not just the total, just not the number, because I'm sure that, you know, $100 to them loss is a lot of money in comparison to what they get. Like Commissioner Longoria said, it's the percentage loss that I'm interested in really to see. And I understand, you know, that we need the bus service over there, but we have to compromise some way, somehow.
All right.
I'll
Commissioner
do the
De
best to
Leon?
get the best statistical information I can get for you.
I'm sorry?
I'll get the best statistical information I can
Yeah.
get for the commission.
Commissioner De
I'd
Leon?
like to ask a question. Either this time or last time, we heard that to be able to service the airport, these people had to pay a certain fee. How much is that fee? Do anybody know? Does anybody know? Señor Longoria,
¿Cuánto les cuesta, cuánto les cobran para hacer el servicio en el aeropuerto? A levantar los pasajeros allá. Donde sea, no. ¿Cuánto le cobra a usted la ciudad para estar ahí en el aeropuerto?
300.
¿Cada vez o cómo? ¿Al año? So $12 a year. $12 al año para tener el permiso para levantar pasajeros en el aeropuerto. Sí. Okay. Gracias. All right. Anything else? All right. Let's keep working on that. Thank you for everybody's interest in this issue. We have no public comment, so this meeting is adjourned.
Drivers don't know what they make. Drivers don't know what they make.